Hello everybody, it's me, Mr. A, and I'm here with Poetry Challenge number 1. Now, I'm here in my summer house. I hope everybody's doing okay at home, and what I'm going to do is once or twice a week I'll post a new poetry challenge here. It'll be like a little mini English lesson, and at the end of it you'll have the chance to go away, do some writing, and submit it to me via email. The email address for this is poems@ashford-primary.surrey.sch.uk. So just take the school's normal email address and put poems at the front of it. So poems@ashford-primary.surrey.sch.uk. Get your submissions in there later on. So I'm no Joe Wicks, right? But I'm here and I'm going to try and talk you through some different forms of poetry. We're going to start off quite simple with Cinquains. Cinquains is something that you might have done at school already, maybe some of you, but I thought I'd kind of build us up gradually. These challenges will get harder as we go along, but I thought I'd start with something that I like it because it's an easy structure to work within. But you can also build it up into other things. You can play around with it a bit. That's the good thing with poetry. A lot of these things have rules and stuff, but you don't necessarily have to stick to them. You can just do pretty much what you want. As long as you stick with whatever rules you've decided. With poetry, I always find it's more important what goes into the poem as to how it's structured. But we'll do free verse another time. So Cinquains as a form of poetry are just about over 100 years old, and not as old as you might think. They're based on some older forms of poetry like haikus, tankas, things like that. Now, I'm not going to do any haikus. If you want to see haikus, I've got a whole other channel for that. But Cinquains aren't that old. They're just about over 100 years old. And they follow a very basic structure. Now, turn my back on you for a moment. So each cinquain has 5 lines. Alright? Doesn't have to, but everyone does, if that makes sense. That'll make sense later. So 5 lines, and they follow a basic structure of syllables, right? Syllables are very important in putting together your cinquain. Now, what is a syllable? Take 20 seconds, talk amongst yourselves. Is that 20 seconds? I don't know. Anyway, that's enough. Syllables are elements of a word, right? They're parts of a word that have a distinctive sound. So in, say, my name, Richard, there's 2 syllables. If you don't know how to count syllables, there's a really good way to do it. Just pop your fingers under your chin like this and say the word, Richard. Okay, and however many times your chin touches your hand, that's how many syllables there are in that word. So in a word like, something long, armaments, it's 3 syllables, right? I don't know where that came from. Coronavirus, 5 syllables, right? So that's how you count syllables. In a word like them, there's only 1. Right? So that's how you count syllables. And a cinquain has a very specific structure of syllables. So 5 lines. Okay, the first line has 2 syllables. The second line has 4 syllables. Third line, 6. Fourth line, 8. And the fifth and final line again has 2 syllables. Alright, now that's what your structure is, basically, to be able to put your poem together. Now, once you've got your basic structure, all you need is a subject. Now, your subject could be anything, but I'm going to suggest, given current times, that we do something like your house or the area in which you live, right? Anything you can see from your window, maybe, right? Now, that gives you quite a lot to think about. It also means you don't have to leave the house. So, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Let's come up with one. I'm going to come up with one now and just show you what I mean. So, first line, 2 syllables. There are some schools of thought which have rules for cinquains, which means each line should be a different thing. I think some people say the first line should be the title or the thing you're talking about. The second line should be nouns and then verbs, and the third line. I'm not going to do that because I prefer much more that you just be creative and put your own spin on these things. Just try and stick to the syllable structure. 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Right, so Let's see, 2 syllables. My subject is the garden at the moment, and the garden is that way. So, let's see. First line, 2 syllables, easy. Messy. Messy, yeah, 2 syllables. Messy. Pots, 4 syllables. Flower pots. I'm going to say flower pots to the third line because that's a big one. I want to make sure that we know about them. So, well, what about the lawn? The lawn overgrown. Yeah, messy. Okay, lawn overgrown. Lawn overgrown. Yep, 4 syllables. So I've nailed the second line. Messy. Lawn overgrown. Now, flower pots. Disarray. Broken flower pots. I want the word flower pots in there for some reason. Flower pots. Messy, lawn overgrown. This way you want a blue Peter. Here's one I made earlier, isn't it? I'll think about this for the next one I do. Messy, lawn overgrown. Sometimes poetry takes time. Okay, I'm going to go with it. Oh, smashed instead of broken. Then it's only then it's only 1 syllable. Flower pots. Flower pots smashed. Okay, right. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'll change that for I'm going to put something at the beginning. Once loved flower pots smashed. Once loved flower pots smashed. Once loved flower pots smashed. Yeah, 6. Messy. Lawn overgrown. Once loved flower pots smashed. Good. Not painting a very good picture of my garden here, am I? Right, 2 lines left. 8 syllables. Now this is the longest one, right? This is where I think I want to get the message about what I'm feeling in all this, right? So I've painted a picture. Now I want to say how I'm feeling about it. It's difficult to know where to smashed. What about instead of that? No, better idea. Something about the fact that it's messy. Yeah, the lawn's overgrown. Yeah, there's smashed flower pots, but I can still hear the birds. So the birds are still enjoying themselves. Whatever's gone wrong with my garden, okay, the birds are still enjoying themselves. So. Yet sparrows. Yet I'm going to use the word yet because that's a really good connective, better than but. Yet sparrows continue to sing. Yes. Continue to sing. Continue their songs. Yet sparrows continue. No, hang on. Yet sparrows continue their songs. Yes, 8 syllables. Now the last line should just kind of sum it up and give us a big finale. So last line, let's see. Yet sparrows continue their songs. In peace. peace. So, Cinquain. Messy, lawn overgrown, once loved flower pots smashed, yet sparrows continue their songs in peace. Maybe song, continue their song. Yeah, alright. Song in peace. Yeah, there you go. Now that's a Cinquain. I've come with that, it's made me think about it. I paint a bleak picture of my garden, by the way. My garden isn't that bad. It just needs a little bit of work. It's not that bad. There's not smashed flower pots everywhere. Okay, just so you know. Right, so that's my Cinquain. I'm going to take a picture of it so that I can put it on the website. 2 minutes left. Right. Okay, so that's it. 24682. Right, that's your syllable structure. Now, what's next, I hear you say. Right, now I did say there were different ways of doing this. Right, you don't have to stick religiously to the 24682 structure. What you can do is go 2, 8, 6, 4, 2. That's called a reverse Cinquain. Basically, you start and end with 2, but then you have your longer lines at the beginning. Or you can do what's called a butterfly Cinquain, which is 2, 8, 6, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. Right, which is a longer one, more than 5 lines. Like I said, it's not always 5 lines. That's called a butterfly Cinquain. Okay, so reverse, butterfly. You can also do what's called a crown Cinquain, right, which is just it's basically 5 Cinquains. You turn it into a longer poem, so you'd have that 2, not 2, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, 2. You'd have that, but you'd have it 5 times. Alright, so you just keep running on until you get 5 lines. It would be about the same subject, so you would just have a longer poem. But if that's something you want to do, it doesn't have to be 5 of them. If you wanted to, sometimes I find when I write poetry, I use these small forms, but one of them just isn't enough to convey what I want to convey. So sometimes I just make them. I make 2 of them. Like, for example, if I'm going to do haikus, sometimes I do what's called a haiku sequence, so I'll do 5 or 10 of them in a row. So that's, you could do that. If you've got too much to say, and let's say you've got too much for one Cinquain but not enough for 2, you could just, not enough for 2, then won't you? You could just carry it on a little bit. Alright, so that's your first poetry challenge, right? Oh, and there's my 15 minutes up. Okay, got to stop. I can only put 15-minute videos on YouTube, so I'll have to trim this down a little bit. So that's your first poetry challenge. Go away, write a Cinquain about something in your house or your area or something you can see from your window. Okay, and send those to poems@ashford-primary.surrey.sch.uk. Right, that's Cinquains. Thanks very much for listening. Take care of yourselves, be safe, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.